15-second poses, 30-second poses, another Richard Powell demo. If you feel like over the last couple of weeks we've been thinking about all these techniques, maybe you're starting to tighten up in your drawings, this session is going to stretch you right out again. My name is Kenzo, this is Love Life Drawing. This video is part of Figuary. If you're not sure what that is, check out the description below. But basically, after the session, you can draw these poses over at the Croquis Cafe. I love these super quick poses because basically we have students that go through our course with us and we spend a lot of time doing longer drawings, really analyzing the pose, building up our eyes' ability to compare, the landmarks and see where they are relative to each other. Oh, that one is vertically above that one, and that's the angle of the rib cage, and then it comes down and across, and you would take that time with each pose, and you do that when you do longer drawings. But what that's doing when you're doing your longer drawings and analyzing and spending that time practicing that skill is you are building up your eye's ability to do that on autopilot. So that what happens is when you then have only 20 seconds to draw the pose, that autopilot can turn on that you've built with all your practice, and then you can just do it without even thinking about it. That's the goal, right? And so what happened is we would ask people to do these longer drawings, and then we'd say, now do a gestural drawing. And if you give people 2 minutes, that is enough time to overthink it and to think, what is gesture? And think so much. And then you give people 20 seconds and suddenly they're just like, and, and they just do it, right? They just find these big flowing curves, find what really matters. Not always, and it's very hit and miss when you're doing such quick poses, but you find some really beautiful drawings within those 20-second drawings, often, more successful than 2-minute drawings, at least in the beginning. So it's a great practice exercise. So I hope you kind of embrace these 15-second drawings and just go for it. And don't worry too much if it doesn't work out. With more practice, eventually you'll be able to come back to these and nail it. But I do have some tips for you for these. So when I'm doing these drawings, I do them smaller because there's just no time to do like a longer line. A longer line takes longer. But also I kind of want to fill up one page with a lot of them because otherwise I'm just going to get through so much paper. And you shouldn't worry about wasting paper. Your drawings are worth the paper that they're on, of course. But it just makes sense to me to fill up a page with lots of these. And then with the 30-second ones, make them a little bit bigger. And then the 45-second ones a little bit bigger still. And then try and get, pretty big with the 1-minute drawings. Do them all at once. Don't worry if something goes wrong, if a line goes wrong. Just blast through it and go on to the next one. If you want to take more time with a pose, you can always come back later, pause it on that 15-second pose, and spend more time with it. Try to get the whole figure in 15 seconds. That way you're not over detailing any one area. You've got to get the whole figure in, so that kind of pushes you to simplify more. So one thing I wanted to explain is one of the reasons that I feel fairly confident going into 15-second poses is because I've built up a language of gestural curves already, like a vocabulary of them. And I'm going to try and explain what that means. So let's say you have a straight leg and you're looking at it from the side. Down the front of the leg there's often this big S-curve. We talked about it on day 8. So anytime I see a straight leg from the side, I look for that big S-curve. Or if you have a torso where the rib cage is, there's a kind of bend and the rib cage is facing one way, the pelvis is facing another, there's going to be this nice big curve on one side and an angle on the other one, and that's going to look good in, as 2 lines. So having this vocabulary that I've learned or practiced means that I can get these poses down pretty quickly. And if you struggle with 15-second poses, it might just be that you need to keep practicing a bit more your gestural drawings and finding these curves more and more often. Kind of like if you're learning a new language, obviously in the beginning it's like blah, 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 and you have no idea what's going on. And then you start to learn some vocabulary, and there are some situations where you're like, oh, I can deal with this one. And then as you learn more and more vocabulary, more and more situations come up and you're like, oh, I can deal with this, I can deal with this. So as you learn more of these like common lines and curves, like down the front of a leg that you're looking at from the front, we saw that there's often a curve coming down the outside of the thigh, and then down the inside of the knee, and then down the outside of the calf, and that's a nice kind of gestural flow. So a vocabulary of gestural curves is the best way I can think of to describe this. And it's not like, oh, I just don't have a talent for quick drawing or whatever, or I'm just not good at it. No, it's just that you need to keep building up this vocabulary. So just to make sure we really stay loose, that we're really exaggerating as much as we could be, I thought we could look at another Richard Powell demo today. Just going back to it, right? Reminding ourselves about it. And he did a really cool one for one of the poses in this session. Look at how far he brings in that torso and how sharp the angle is. How wild he's gone with that. And then the big tapering curves down the thighs. I love how much he pushes into that simplification and exaggeration. And so let's go into this session with that mindset. You know, don't let the truth, the literal truth, get in the way of telling a good story. Let's exaggerate, let's simplify, and let's really go for it. You know, even if you can only come up with half a stick man for your 15-second poses, don't worry about it. Like I said, with time, you'll build up that vocabulary and you'll be drawing whole figures in 15 seconds, no problem. It's just a matter of practice. You can see this practice session at vimeo.com/Croquis Cafe. You can then share your drawing at community.lovelifedrawing.com and on Instagram. And check out our newsletter. It's all free, really useful tips, and you get a free guide when you sign up. So I will see you guys back here tomorrow.